Hi, I am Penny. I have been studying astrology for a little over 10 years. If you've been to my channel before, welcome back. And if you're new, I'm glad to have you here. So today's topic, it's not my first time exploring this at all. So I have a lot of different videos about moon signs. And we're talking about moon in Capricorn with moon in Gemini compatibility and what's that really like. So you might have also seen that I did a couple videos with my friend Angelo, who has moon in Gemini, and I personally have moon in Capricorn. So we were able to talk about, what we think it's like dating people who have moon in Gemini or moon in Capricorn, with him being moon in Gemini and me being moon in Capricorn. And he and I had both noticed the same thing, that this is like a great dynamic for friendship. Now, what is a long-term romantic relationship? What is a marriage? That's ultimately like the best friend you're ever going to have, or at least that's one of my values and what I personally believe a marriage should be. So I do think this could potentially be a good match for a romantic pairing, but I'm also going to explore some challenges that you might experience and some things that might get in the way of the two of you being able to have a healthy dynamic. Now, first of all, like even just in the courting process, this will become apparent because moon in Gemini and moon in Capricorn both have a habit of being kind of emotionally distant or emotionally unavailable. Like I believe in one of my other videos, I said that for moon and Gemini, it's like they have an emotional stunt double. They have a side of them that is very vulnerable, but when they don't want to have to deal with that and they don't want to have to display that, they'll throw out a different side of them that's just very nonchalant and like, oh, I don't really care, and oh, it's not really a big deal, and that type of thing. So Gemini is a sign of duality. Capricorn doesn't get commended on this enough, but is also a sign of duality. It is both the goat and the fish. The goat with the fish tail, the mer goat, if you will. So we definitely have that side of us that is very earthly and stable and above it all, like I'm not gonna let my emotions get to me, I'm not gonna let them affect me. And moon in Capricorn will like genuinely freaking believe that those emotions are not gonna affect them until the tsunami comes in, and that goat is reminded that it's in the water and that it's part fish and that it's also part goat and it can't swim as well as the other fish, okay? And those emotions can be a lot to deal with, and sometimes I just feel like I'm drowning in my emotions, like they just hit me like a tidal wave that I was not expecting, because I genuinely thought that I existed up here and I was in control, and then like I come down here to my heart and it's like just instant drowning. It's like, oh my gosh, I need CPR or something. I need to be resuscitated. So they both have the duality for totally different reasons, and it will be expressed in different ways. And from what I've seen of moon and Gemini, they're ironically better at being consistent with emotional experiences than moon and Capricorn. Now, moon and Capricorn has delayed emotional responses to everything, that gradual buildup and this idea that I'm headed in a specific direction and I'm going to keep heading in this direction even when I'm swimming upstream, and even when it starts to get real rough on me, even when times are tough. And Gemini is more able to be like, this direction isn't working out for me as much anymore, so I think maybe I'll pivot and go a different direction. And they adapt so much more easily to that. And I think for this reason combined, the slowed build up for moon and Capricorn, like I'm gradually warming up to you, I'm gradually accumulating interest in you, and then moon and Gemini is over here and it's like I might be interested right away, but it's not going to be all in, and I'm going to demonstrate this interest and see if the fish goats are biting the bait today. Have you ever caught a fish goat? Do they ever bite the bait? Not usually. No. Fish goats don't bite bait. I've never once caught a fish goat while out at sea or whatever. But I also just I don't actually go fishing that much. Okay, so that might be part of the reason why. but so yeah, even though the moon in Gemini is more likely to show instant, intense interest, it's like flaky, if you will. It's changeable. It's contingent based on certain circumstances. And it's very possible that uh, Moon in Capricorn is not going to be able to play ball with those circumstances the same way, and not going to be able to adapt to this idea that, you know, we're not all in. Because believe it or not, Moon in Capricorn, as cruel and as cold-hearted as they might seem at times, they are one of the types to believe in unconditional love and to provide unconditional, unwavering support for their partner. So when they see that there's someone else who isn't as reliable and isn't going to fight as hard for them, they're likely to accept what that is and just count their blessings that they hadn't caught feelings just yet, and that there was more of a slow buildup. Now, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen Moon in Capricorn and Moon in Gemini catch feelings for one another. And I don't think it was an easy situation for anyone involved, really. Even though they both seem like they can flake out of or escape their own emotions at will, they do have their own emotional challenges. They do have their stuff that they go through, believe it or not. So my phone keeps